And Doctor is here looking good in a very lovely shirt. Hello, dog.
Hi, Kwame.
Good to see you. And,
Good to see you too.
Oh, I do love your shirt.
Oh,
That's a
thank you.
very beautiful pattern there.
Yeah, thank you.
Hey, Charlie, oh, boy, life. Oh,
What's African wear there?
wow, lo. Doctor Fashionista. Hey.
Kwame say musician.
Also, you are out of the market. Until life be baby, I will be you the coin.
There's a market today. You have to keep improving the market.
Anyway,
Right.
good to see you, man.
Good to be here again another week. And
For the past 2 weeks, we've been having a very interesting conversation about arthritis. We've been talking about osteoarthritis. We've been looking at treatment and all of those, like how to present and all of that. Today, we get to round up that conversation. And good thing is today we get to activate the phone lines
right.
for our friends to call in and ask as many questions as they can.
Right. So yes, Kwame, we've been looking at arthritis, and one of the most important things that we take for granted is our ability to move. So today I got a visitor at the clinic. Totally surprised me, and it was my very young nephew, my big brother's son, and I can remember he turned me 1 in May or so, yes, and I haven't seen him walk around. And I saw him in the consulting room, and he's exploring the whole consulting room, trying to move from one place to the other.
Yeah.
I remember seeing him crawl.
Yeah.
So we take that for granted. From about a year, the human being starts to move, and if you're going to live to be 80 or 90, we take that for granted. We continue to move until we don't move anymore, because either we're too old, or we're sick, or we've been terribly injured. So locomotion is a very important aspect of human life, and your joints play a very important part in getting your whole skeleton to move. But there are between 250 and 350 bones in your body, and they are all connected one way or the other. So there are a lot of joints. So that joint is where 2 or more bones will meet. So in the last 3 weeks, we've been looking at the joint. Very, very important for locomotion. And if your joints are affected, you'd realize that simple thing that you take for granted from age 1 all the way through to the day you go away, it's not as simple as we take it. So that is the story of arthritis. So today we're looking at part 3, the concluding part. And I got a lot of phone calls. It was like, "Oh, doctor, you are talking about arthritis, the joint. And are you never going to talk about gout?" They're like, "Yeah, I'll just save that for the last." I mean, a lot of people know a thing or two about gout, because it is an extremely painful condition that affects the joint. And this happens because of the presence of a substance that is deposited at the joint, and we call that substance uric acid.
Uric
acid. So uric acid is a waste product, all right, that is produced through a certain process. When you break down a certain substance, which you find in many cells of the body, then you will end up with uric acid as that waste product. And typically it dissolves in the blood, and then it is removed from the body through urine. So it's only when you tend to have either an overproduction of this uric acid, because you're breaking down that original substance, you have too much of that. So you end up overproducing the uric acid, and you saturate the blood. Or there is a problem with urine production, such that you don't have an overproduction of the uric acid, but you're not forming enough urine to remove the waste product. So urine is formed by the kidneys, and through that the kidney is able to remove all the waste products we don't need in our bodies out. So the kidney's primary function, one of the primary functions is detoxification. Right. So, Kwame, please never go and pay anywhere for that detoxification. Don't buy them.
No, my concussions being in
detoxification. That's what your kidney does for you, free of charge. So keep your kidneys healthy, and it will detoxify, remove all the waste products out of your body. So back to the uric acid. So that's what happens. If you overproduce because you are breaking down that substance, that original substance, too much of it, then you saturate the system. Or if you have a problem with urine production, then you would have an over accumulation of this uric acid, and some of it finds its way to the joints. Kwame, if you go to Adan, if you've seen, or those who live in the Pambros area or the Adan side, who've seen actual salt production. The salt is in the seawater, and then they make these pits at the beach, and then when the seawater collects in it, it's exposed to the sun, it evaporates, and then you would find crystals deposited in the bed of that pit, and then we pick it up. So when we were young, we had these granular or crystal salts.
Yeah.
Now we have the ground form of it on the market, but those big crystals, that's how uric acid appears or looks like when it is deposited in the joint.
Wow.
Yes.
In the crystal form.
In the crystal form. So just as you have the salt in the seawater, so if you take the seawater, you wouldn't find the crystals. But if you evaporate the seawater, then you leave behind the crystals, depending on the concentration. Pretty much the same thing is happening with this uric acid, which is in your blood, and you get a lot of it, too much of it in your blood, then it deposits in the joints, and it then triggers an inflammatory process, inflammation. So we've been mentioning the word inflammation a lot the past 2 weeks. And we said inflammation has certain cardinal features. Number 1, pain. Number 2, swelling. Number 3, there's a lot of warmth or heat around the affected joint. And then number 4, if the person is light-skinned enough, you may see redness around that same site. So these are the cardinal symptoms of inflammation. And the deposition of the crystals, uric acid crystals in the joint, will then trigger an inflammatory reaction there, and it causes a lot of pain. There is something very unique about gout. Kwame, it has a preference for attacking the big joint in your big toe, the largest joint in your big toe.
In your big toe?
Yes. Why the big toe? Why that preference? Well, we still don't quite understand yet. So most people who have gout, and I think when we open the phone lines, if we have anybody sharing their story, they will tell you that the pain is in their foot, and then they will tell you specifically it is their big toe. That is where the pain typically is, so you get the swelling. But technically, it can happen in any joint. It can happen in the knee joint. But we realize that the lower limb joints more than the fingers of the hands. So it has a predilection for the largest joint in the big toe.
I see.
And then you get your swelling. Kwame, I talked about the parent substance compound from which uric acid comes out of as a waste product. Well, that compound, you find it in most of our cells as human beings. So, our cells die and they are replaced by new ones. So it's like your hair, your skin. So, Kwame, if you don't bath for about 2 or 3 days, you'd find some skin particles on your bed sheet. Yes, because we will constantly replace our skin cells, but we don't usually pay attention to it. So your hair is falling out, your skin cells, so we keep replacing. So those that are happening internally, you break it down, and then you would produce uric acid. But there's also dietary sources. Meat and meat products contain a lot of that parent compound, from which uric acid is going to come as a waste product. So a
Okay.
lot of the time, those who have gout, then they will tell them don't eat.
Don't eat meat. Ah, I
Then
see.
or meat products. So organs, organ meat, also packed with that particular parent compound that I'm talking about. So sometimes when we go, we say we want, they should add some liver, they should add some kidney.
Yeah, my dear.
Yeah,
Oh
my
my
dear.
God. Towel. Who's?
Shaki, and the bruta, yeah. So yeah, they are good sources of say iron. But then I just want everybody also to know that those compounds that when you break down, it leads to a lot of uric acid.
Yeah.
They are rich. There are foods that are rich in that, and these are the meat and meat products.
Okay.
But then seafood is also another big block that produce a lot of uric acid from the breakdown. So sometimes you go to the clinic, the dietitian will tell, oh, don't eat sardines, for example. But it's not just that. I'll just put that whole label and say seafood in general. Beer also is notorious for producing a lot of this uric acid. So beer can also do that. So typically people who chew a lot of meat, for example, you don't just take in the meat. So you grill it, boys will sit or something, and then you would also drink some beer or wash it down with some beer. So it is very, very important that we know about these dietary sources of the parent compound from which you break down to form the uric acid.
Okay.
Unfortunately, sometimes too, some medicines that we give out in hospital can also trigger that. So there are some BP medicines, typically what we call the water pill. Your doctor will give you a BP medicine that makes you pee a lot. It may also lead to that. There are some medicines that we use in the treatment of tuberculosis that can also do that. And even aspirin. People take aspirin a lot in this country as an over-the-counter medication, but it can also do that. So these are some of the trigger factors for the high levels of uric acid in your blood that then may crystallize out in some joints in your body, producing an inflammatory reaction at the joint, and you get a form of arthritis, and we would call this gout or gouty arthritis.
Okay. We'll talk about the treatment, but let me activate the phone lines now. 0302216541. If you have any questions, not just on gout, but on the other conditions.
The whole arthritis, the osteoarthritis, and lastly we'll talk about rheumatoid arthritis when your body is attacking itself. So you want to talk to us about all of that. Any questions you have on all of these areas, you can send them in. You can also share your experiences with us.
Yes, 0302216541, or you can send us a WhatsApp message on 055-1111-997. I think we've got a friend here. Hello.
Hello, good evening, good afternoon.
Hi, good afternoon. How are you?
I'm doing great. This is Judas Iscariot.
All right, bro. Let's hear you.
Yes, please. I have gout, but it is under my feet. Yeah. Then I remember some 3 years back, I went to 37 and I had it removed, and they did some checks on it, and they told me not to eat red meat and blah, blah, blah. Mm-hmm. But after some years, it is coming back again. It is growing. So I went back and I stopped eating those meats, and I realized it is going down.
Right.
But sometimes I realize that it starts water. There will be water coming out of it. And it's very, very, very painful. So I want to know what remedy I can, because the medication they gave me after the surgery, I think it didn't help me enough. I'm still having it. It's under my feet, the right foot.
Right. So he had gout, and yes, sometimes you need to have surgery that particular joint. So you're talking about under his foot. Yes, the joint is there, and then you've got the upper surface and then the under surface. Well, the story about water coming out of it, I'm thinking that whole thing is infected now. So he had surgery. you may have complications of the surgery. I'll strongly suggest that he would have his surgeons take a look at it. That may not be the gout directly, but it may be complications of that surgery, because the gout itself will lead to an inflammatory response, and he really has to stick to the guidelines. It's not about temporarily reducing the meat intake, the beer, and then all of that. It has to be that. But Kwame, it is not only that. I mentioned that your body cells do contain that parent compound, and as we replace them, we break down uric acid. So everybody has a certain level of uric acid in their blood, because we are breaking down new cells.
Okay.
Old cells rather, and forming new cells.
All right.
So probably he's producing a lot of that. But
all right, let's see who's here. Hello?
Hello.
Hi, you're welcome. What's your name?
Larry.
Larry, talk to us.
Doc, does the arthritis also affect the spine?
Right. Yes. So I did mention that we have between 250 and 350 bones in the body, and the spine, yes, has about 34 or so bones, and they are all connected. So arthritis of the spine is actually very common. And during the first discussion, osteoarthritis, I did mention that it occurs commonly in the neck. So there are about 7 bones in the neck, but typically you'd find it between number 5, number 6, and number 7. So the joints there. And then you have what we call the lumbar set, all right, the lumbar spine. There are 5 of them, 5 of those bones. Those are the large ones going around your waist level. So where if you have a lumbar corset, the woman would put it, that area. So yes, arthritis of the spine is actually very, very common. And a lot of people would have it. You'd go to the hospital most of the time, and then doctor would say, oh, you have spondylosis and all of that. So these degenerative changes that happen, a lot of it would happen in the spine.
Okay.
And that's why when somebody said the head is used for carrying a load, and we saw it in they attempted to put that in our textbook. It was roundly condemned. Because when you do all of those things, you would accelerate the development of arthritis in your spine.
Okay, let's see who's here. Hello.
Hello.
Hi, you're welcome, sir. What's your name?
My name is Ibanwa, calling from Ada.
Okay, let's hear you.
I want to ask the doctor, as I'm talking to you now, I'm feeling a pain from my buttocks down to my knee, at the back. Yeah. From the buttocks, that lane, the 2 distance, is he also an arthritis or something like that?
Right. So he's describing what we would write as a radiating pain. So you have the pain starting at one point, and then you can trace it. There's a path the pain is following, and typically that pain that starts somewhere in the buttocks and then it radiates, especially back of the thigh, all the way down. We would give it a name. Sometimes we'll say it's sciatica.
Okay.
So most people would probably have come across it, sciatica. It starts and you're pinching a nerve. So when we talk about the spine, we talk about both the bone and then we talk about the spinal cord and its branches. All right. So the sciatic nerve is coming from the branches of the spinal cord, and it runs through your buttocks. And that is why when a nurse is giving an injection, or a nurse or a doctor, we've been trained to give the injection in your buttocks in a particular area to avoid hitting that particular nerve, the sciatic nerve. Because if that needle hits that nerve, it causes excruciating pain, and we can paralyze you from playing with that nerve. So if you have got arthritis in your lumbar spine, lower back spine, it can cause you severe pain in your buttocks that shoots down the back of your thigh. So probably yes, he needs to get it checked out, and maybe that's what he's having. It may be another form of arthritis in the pelvic bone.
All right, let's see who's here. Hello. Hello.
Hello.
Hi, how are you?
I'm fine. How are you too, Lexis?
Very well, thank you. What's your name, sir?
I'm James. Currently, I'm on Lego campus.
All right, James, talk to us.
Doc,
Hi.
My daughter is 5, but I think from age 3, if my memory serves me right, she's been complaining of knee, daddy my knee, mommy my knee. And we've taken her to the hospital, done several x-rays. They see nothing wrong. Sometimes when it happens, and usually it happens at night.
Okay.
And we'll have to apply certain ointment and stuff. She gets okay, and then like a month later, she still just yesterday, she was still complaining that my knee, and we don't really know what the can you really tell this?
Right. So, 3-year-old knee pain in the absence of direct trauma to the knee, then we would think that yes, she has to be investigated thoroughly for arthritis. But then sickle cell is also a very common medical condition. You know, we mentioned it happens during the night. So saying the knee, is it a joint or it's the long bones, the ends of the long bones? So individuals with sickle cell anemia or sickle cell disease will develop what we call vaso-occlusive crisis or bone pain crisis. You know, and sometimes that's the first time it is coming to attention. So in that whole diagnostic workup, we will look at all of these because sickle cell is a, if you like, an African people's problem. And it's very, very common in our environment. So we'll do that. And then we would also do a complete workup for arthritis, including the rheumatoid arthritis. There are different types of arthritis, juvenile arthritis. That age group, yes, it can happen. You know, an X-ray can be of limited importance in their diagnosis. So what I would recommend is that he can hit us up after the show, and then we can assist him. We've got a full orthopedic service at Medicus, and then I'll put him in touch and get orthopedic surgeons to do a thorough evaluation of the problem.
Okay. All right, Lexis, it's very painful, the gout you talked about. It's true, my left big toe. But doctor, I thought they say it's meat that causes that. So me, I've stopped chopping meat, cry.
Yes.
Well, that's what he said.
Right.
Charlie, what pain me cry is that I bought some powerful shoe. And anytime I wear the shoe, then the pains come. Now I wear it with plaster.
Right. Sorry, we are laughing, but the way he presents it, that's sort of like classic. Kwame, I've seen people come, and because you know they've dressed up nicely, and they have a problem. They don't want to be wearing their flip flops, with their thing. So most of much shoe on the unaffected foot. Then they are carrying the other shoe. That's like, why don't you just wear your flip flops and feel comfortable?
No. You won't show they get that shoe.
You know, they have it. But yes, it's so painful. It can't fit. Even sometimes the slippers, you know, it just can't. Anything touches it, you know, it feels like a bomb just went off under your foot. Wow. It can be very, very, very painful. So you find some of them, they are hopping because they are coming in. It's excruciatingly painful. But I need to make the point, it is not only dietary. It's not only just a dietary source. So we all produce certain levels of uric acid. If you have normal kidney function, we expect you to remove it through the urine. So we will first look at your kidney function. Probably just the normal levels you are producing. Because you are not removing it, that is why it is accumulating and being deposited there. It's not just the meat. We talked about seafood as well.
Right.
You know, so it could be fish, it could be crustaceans, the crabs, the shrimps, and all of that as the source of it. You know, so you can have all of those things making a contribution. And I mean, the beer, no.
Oh, doc, one can sign your thing.
So you're meat and I'm washing it down.
See meat, meat, fish, crab, beer, and so we will leave that one to.
They're washing it down. Because you have to pray you don't get certain diseases. Well, I'll finish you. Because all life, you're dry.
SH says, good day, Lexis. Correct me if I'm wrong. I've not heard the doctor speak about spondylosis. Is it curable?
Right. So that's the, you know, when we talk about the spine or the arthritis involving the spine, then that is where we are. That's what it is.
Yeah.
So then that's the arthritis of the spine. Is it curable? Yes. When Dr. Yunchi can fix your back for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it is.
Let me get your number so that because there are a lot of questions here. I wish you could answer all of them, but our time is up. So
Right.
for those who want to reach out to you and get you to answer the rest of their questions.
So the number is 0501 477 340. Our WhatsApp contact is 0501 477 340. And we're very active on our social media handles. Our Facebook page is Medicus Hospital, and Kwame, our X is at Medicus GH.
There you go. Look, I'm not alone in this. I'm keep my good friend. He says, Lexis, be a sing. Something must kill a man.
But anyway, so that something must be painful.
Yeah. Let's find out what's happening in news.